Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your April 2020 horoscope for Libra Sun, Moon, or Rising. So before I get into the cards, I want to go ahead and take a look at the major planetary shifts that are taking place here in April. And you might notice that here in these major planetary shifts, there is no full moon on the list. And that is because we will discuss this full moon separately in a separate video. But that full moon is going to play a huge role for those of you who have Libra Sun, Moon, or Rising, especially those with Libra Rising, because this full moon will take place in your first house. This is in your very own sign. So this is a full moon in Libra, which will make a conjunction to Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage and commitment. And so this will have a huge effect relationship-wise for those of you who are Libra Sun, Moon, or Rising. So before we get into this, if you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. The first planetary shift we have here is on April 3rd, so this is today. As I'm making this video, we have Venus entering into Gemini. And so this is the end of this beautiful Venus in Taurus transit, right? Venus is at home in Taurus and very much supporting this slow, sensual, comfortable, loving nature in Taurus. It also did cross over Uranus in Taurus. And so there was a little bit of a shift there in terms of value, in terms of resources, your financial situation. But for those of you with Libra Rising, this is Venus entering into your 9th house of Gemini, which is all about exploration, adventure, travel, philosophy, higher knowledge. And so there is something big here to say about how you expressing and sharing your higher knowledge and understanding with those that you are in close partnerships or relationships with can very much help them at this time. This can very much be the love and the advice and the nurturing that they need at this time. Now, Venus is also, again, making the aspect over to Juno in Libra. So Juno sitting in your first house. And so there is something big to say about Juno in your first house and how this has really been a time of wanting to relate to others, wanting to be committed, to stick around, to support those that you are closest to. And this is also making an aspect over to the moon in Leo, which is sitting back in your 11th house of social groups, organizations, right? Large groups of people that you are a part of, as well as your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your long-term goals being fulfilled. And so there is this big feeling of, with the moon here in your 11th house, of wanting to connect out to others in the public, wanting to care for and nurture and be there to support those in the public who are in need, especially during this time. You also have Venus making an aspect over to Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, which is sitting in your 4th house of home and family. And so for those of you with Libra Rising especially, you can feel this transformation that we've gone through all year here of really these changes going on in your home life, your environment. Some of you may want to move to a new location, may want to rearrange your home, may want to find new ways of changing your connection with others in your home and environment. And this has really been an intense place as Saturn has been in the conjunction with Pluto and Jupiter for some time now. However, it can feel like a little bit of a relief as Saturn has pushed forward into Aquarius. And so with Jupiter here with Pluto, this is the first time that we're seeing Jupiter and Pluto here in Capricorn without Saturn. Saturn has moved on into Aquarius. And so it can feel like there is a little bit of a block or a restriction or limitation of these changes that you want to take place here in your home and your family life that has finally been freed and lifted for you. And really Pluto here with Jupiter wanting to expand upon. Remember that this is the first time that Pluto is sitting here with this big benefic energy all by itself. So before, the big sort of ruler here was Saturn. Now Jupiter is playing this out, and Jupiter has this big, expansive, benefic, positive, open type of energy here where it wants to help you grow and expand in this area. And we're going to see this especially when Pluto goes retrograde on the 25th of April. Now, this is also making a conjunction over to Saturn conjunct Mars, which is in Aquarius, sitting in your 5th house of expression, of passion, of excitement, of your talents, your fame, your gifts, of wanting to be seen and noticed and appreciated, of your children, of fun, of creativity. And so there is Saturn and Mars sitting here, creating this sense of authority, of duty, of purpose, of responsibility here in your 5th house, where it is time for you to take authority in yourself and what you want to show to others, want to express, to be seen by others. And so it is time for you to express yourself big time and to hold that purpose and that authority in your life. And this can come out in various ways. And so for some of you, this can be a feeling of really wanting to hold that authority with your children. This could be wanting to express your creative gifts and talents, right? But there's something big here where what you can express and show to others can be very helpful in holding this sense of responsibility and authority to others in their life. Now, this is also making an aspect over to Mercury, which is conjoined with Neptune in Pisces. And this is sitting in your 6th house of routine, of daily responsibilities, of your work life, right? What are the things that you are working on and taking care of in your life? And with Mercury and Neptune here, this can really feel like a confusing area of your life at the moment. This can really feel like with Neptune and Pisces and Mercury here, which is completely debilitated and weakened by this dreamy, imaginative, creative type of energy that Pisces has. Mercury wanting to know the logic, the details, the facts, the information. That Mercury is very lost and confused in this position. And so this can feel like a area where things are not clear, where you don't have a clear picture of how you want to go about these chores and these responsibilities and these hobbies and routines and all of these responsibilities and duties that you need to take care of in your life. This is also making an aspect over to the Sun and Chiron, which are sitting both in Aries in your house of relationships, of marriage, of contracts, of your public life, your professional life, right? This is your relationship to others and the world around you. And so with this can bring up a lot of insecurities in partners, in associates, in those closest to you. And it can really be a time of empowerment through others as well, right? This can be a time of others strengthening you, motivating you, giving you that sense of self-assurance that is needed for you to progress forward, especially in terms of your work life, in terms of your career. Now, this can also play out in the opposite way as well, where you could be the Chiron person and they could be the Sun person, where this brings out a lot of your insecurities in relationships. This brings out a lot of emotional wounds in your relationships. And this can be a moment of you giving others the strength and the confidence to stand and be who they are. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next major shift, which will take place tomorrow on April 4th, when Jupiter makes a conjunction with Pluto. And so we talked about Jupiter and Pluto together for the first time here in Capricorn without Saturn. Saturn has moved on into Aquarius. This is the exact conjunction. And so here we see major changes and transitions taking place in your home life that are helping you grow, expand, learn. And this is making an aspect over to Venus, which is now at 1 degree of Gemini. Right? Venus in Gemini is a huge deal, as it will spend a very long time, right? Venus will retrograde in Gemini. It will also meet up with the North Node, and so we will see Venus in Gemini until July, and this will have a great impact. Once again, in your belief systems, in your experiences. And so this is here to open you up to new experiences. This is here to open you up to new ways of thinking and believing, new philosophies, new truths, new ways to expand your knowledge in your life. And the interesting thing here is Venus making a square over to the moon in Virgo. And so for many of you, this moon is sitting back in your 12th house. This is sitting in your house of the things hidden behind the scenes, your dreams, right? The subconscious mind, these unconscious feelings, these suppressed feelings, things that are hidden below the surface. And so for many of you, this is an area that you are unaware of. And there is something big to say here about this moon in your 12th house can very much make you feel very sensitive, very emotional, but in a very subtle way. Many of you may be unaware that you are giving off this emotional, sensitive energy to others. This is behind the scenes. And for many of you, this can heighten your intuition, as this is sitting back in this house of the subconscious, of your connection to the spirit realm, of these subtle, hidden, unconscious feelings and desires, very much below the surface. And so this is in conflict with Venus in Gemini, which once again is sitting in that house of higher learning, of philosophy, of knowledge. And so there's a little bit of a conflict in finding comfort in new knowledge, new understanding. But there's this other part of you that is seeking comfort in going in deep with having that introspection and that clarity below the surface, going in, understanding these feelings, understanding your subconscious, right? Making sense of these symbols and these dreams and these feelings that are happening at a subtle level. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next major shift here, which is on April 11th, when Mercury enters Aries. And so, yes, Mercury is finally out of Pisces, where Mercury has been very debilitated, very weakened in this energy of Pisces, where it is trying to make sense of things, trying to understand things at an intellectual level in this daydreamy, spiritual, mystical, imaginative world of Pisces. And now as Mercury moves into Aries, it is bringing a lot of clarity back into your relationship, into the way that you're relating to others. And so this is an area where you can find yourself receiving messages from others, seeking answers from others, seeking clarity from others, making conversation with others. Right? A lot of this knowledge, a lot of this clarity is being pulled through your relationships with others. And it is conjunct Lilith and Chiron. And so this can bring up a lot of insecurities, a lot of fears, a lot of deeper feelings in others as well. Now, Mercury is also making a square over to the North Node in Cancer, which for many of you is sitting in your house of career, your house of your legacy, your house of your status, of how you're presenting yourself to the world, how others are seeing you in the eyes of the public. And so with this, there's a lesson here about nurturing your career, nurturing your status, your reputation, nurturing your authority, your position, the role that you are playing in society, so that it is a role that is beneficial, that is nurturing, that is serving you to the highest, greatest good in your life. And notice that the North Node is sitting at 1 degree of Cancer. So this North Node is getting closer to that critical degree, that 0 degrees of Cancer, where it is going to start to make its way into Gemini. So we're going to see the shift in May of the North Node entering Gemini. And so the North Node is getting close to that final point in Cancer, that final degree, that final moment where this is it. This is the last chance to take on and experience this lesson of the North Node in Cancer, where it is trying to get you to do what is nurturing, what is comfortable, what is emotionally fulfilling in your career, in your status, in the position that you're holding in your public life. This is also making a trine over to the Moon in Sagittarius, where this can bring through a lot of mental activity, a lot of excitement, a lot of curiosity and interest, especially for you Libra rising, as this is sitting in your 3rd house of communication, of thinking, of learning, of your familiar interactions with others, right? Neighbors, siblings, of short distance travel. There's something big here with this moon in Sagittarius where it is giving you this energy, especially to ask questions, to learn more, to grow, to expand. Right? There's a lot of this mental activity and this energy that is towards wanting to learn and expand and grow more in the way that you're learning, in the way that you're communicating, in the way that you're understanding and connecting with others. This is also making an aspect over to Pluto and Jupiter conjoined in Capricorn, as well as Saturn and Mars conjoined in Aquarius. And so remember that Pluto and Jupiter together here in Capricorn is sitting in your house of home and family, where major shifts and transitions can happen here in your home life. This is also making the aspect over to this fifth house of expression, right? Where there is this purpose and this authority to express yourself, to put yourself out there. So let's go ahead and continue on to the next major transit here, which will be on April 19th when the Sun enters Taurus. And so immediately as the Sun enters Taurus, it makes a conjunction over to Uranus in Taurus, where these major shifts and transitions are taking place in your life. And Taurus is sitting here in your 8th house of intimacy, of deeper connection, of shared resources, of legal agreements, right? All of these things done behind the scenes, done in your private life. This is where you can see some radical changes in your life, and you have seen radical changes here as Uranus has spent a very long time here in Taurus. But as the Sun enters here, it is shining a light here on Uranus. This is making you consciously aware of these radical shifts and changes that are taking place here in your private life, that are taking place in your deep connection, that are taking place in the shared resources that you're attaining through others. And this is making an aspect over to, once again, Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. Remember those changes, those transitions in your home that can very much be affected by these shifts and changes that are taking place in your legal agreements, in your shared resources, in your private life, in your intimate connections, as well as this authority to express yourself, to put yourself out there, to be creative, to express these gifts. So let's take a look at the next major shift, which will take place on April 22nd, when we have a new moon in Taurus. And so once again, this new moon is right away making a conjunction with Uranus. And so now not only do we have one light on these shifts and changes, right? These unexpected, these radical, these destructive changes for some of you that are taking place. Now we have two lights on it. The moon and the sun are two luminaries here with Uranus, very much putting a strong light on these shifts and changes here that are taking place in your personal life. And for many of you, this can be a very emotional moment of being consciously aware and realizing these shifts and these unexpected surprises that are taking place here in your personal life, in your intimate connections, in your legal agreements, in your intimacy with others. And with this is making the aspect once again over to Pluto and Jupiter conjoined, as well as Saturn and Mars in Aquarius. And notice that Mars has come off of Saturn, right? So this is mainly here making this major aspect over to Saturn, where this is your authority, right? This is where this energy, this drive, this passion, this excitement of Mars is sort of moving off of Saturn here, and it's really putting this serious, responsible focus and emphasis on expressing and putting yourself out there. And so that moment of Saturn and Mars together can really empower you to hold this authority, to hold this strength, this confidence. But as Mars comes off of Saturn, you may feel even more empowered, as Mars is now free from the restrictions, the limitations of Saturn. This is also making a semi-sextile over to Neptune in Pisces. And once again, Pisces is sitting in your house of work and daily responsibilities, where this Neptune in Pisces can really dissolve these responsibilities, this work, this effort. It can really feel confusing. It can really feel like you can't accomplish these things. This can really make you want to really take a step back and just relax and take time away from these daily routines and responsibilities. Remember that this is in mutual reception. For those of you with Libra rising, all of your houses are inverted, as Pisces would rather sit in the 12th house. So let's take a look at the next major shift, which will happen on April 25th when Pluto stations retrograde. So Pluto will retrograde in a conjunction to Jupiter, right? So we talked about this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, of these changes and transformations that can take place within your family, within your home, within your deep connections, within your private life. And with Pluto going retrograde, this deepens and intensifies this transformation, right? This is an internal change and transformation that is taking place here. And with Jupiter in a conjunction to this, this is helping to grow and expand this transformation and change that is taking place here. This is also making an aspect over to Mercury in Aries, which is conjoined with Lilith. Mercury is now at those last degrees of Aries, where it's starting to slow down. It's starting to run off of that last bit of energy, right? It went through this straightforward, direct, energetic, passionate space of Aries here in your relationship house, and it's getting ready now to slow down as it moves into your house of these more secret, more closer, more intimate connections and shared resources, right? These things happening behind the scenes. And so Mercury is starting to slow down, and it's starting to get to that point where it has some information, some clarity for you in terms of these changes in your personal life, in your intimate connections, in your legal agreements, right? So this is getting to the point where this is becoming very investigative, bringing a lot that is deep below the surface to the light, bringing a lot of clarity up for you to see in this area of your life. And this is also making an aspect over to Neptune and Pisces once again, where this can feel like this is confusing to work through this, to deal with this, to handle this, right? This can bring a lot of sensitivity and insecurities to the surface. And so with this, you want to be aware that it is time to take a practical approach on how you are going to handle these changes and scenarios taking place in your life. And for many of you, Pluto retrograde is also making an aspect to your ascendant, as it is sitting in Capricorn, right? So this is major in terms of how this is affecting your life and your experiences. Let's take a look at the last major shift here, which takes place on April 27th. This is Mercury entering Taurus. So now Mercury is finally in Taurus, where it's going to slow down. It's going to ask you to take a planned out, step-by-step, methodical approach, to really take your time, to really think things out, to come up with a strategy, right? So this puts the focus on those things that are of the true value in your deeper connections, in your legal agreements, in these situations in your 8th house, right? These 8th house matters are very much going to become more clear, more easy to address. And part of this is this sextile over to the North Node in Cancer, which is now at 0 degrees, now at that critical point. This is it. This is the last opportunity until the end of April to use up this North Node in Cancer energy before it enters into Gemini. So this is this last moment to nurture and to help serve your public image, your career, your status, your position in your public life. Right, so some of you who have Libra rising have some legal situations to sort out in order to hold this space and this authority in your career life, right? So this is not for all of you, but for many of you, there is this deeper situation going on that needs to be handled and taken care of in order to hold this authority in your public life. And keep in mind that this is the last time that the moon will meet up with the North Node in Cancer before the North Node goes ahead and moves on ahead into Gemini. So with the moon here, it is especially adding this emotional drive and this feeling into this North Node, which is trying to help serve you in this area of your career, your status, your reputation. So that was the April 2020 horoscope using the astrology. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. So starting off, we have the Knight of Cups, where once again that Neptune and Pisces energy can very much come through in your daily responsibilities, where this can feel very much like a fairy tale, right? You can feel very unmotivated. You can feel kind of swept away by romance and by these emotions that are kind of superficially guiding you at this moment. And so there is something big here about being more practical and looking more at the responsibilities and the duties that need to be taken care of and addressed here. And so a lot in this area of responsibilities that are being dissolved, that you are seeing an illusion that is not really there, right? There's something big here about coming back down to reality and facing the reality of the situation that you are in. And again, take this as it resonates with you. We have the Three of Wands in reverse, where it really does not feel like you are moving forward, like you are getting anywhere at this moment. And so there is a lot that needs to be sorted out and figured out, right? A lot of planning, a lot of deeper situations that need to be addressed and figured out at this moment, so that you can move ahead on this journey, on this experience. And this does require you to surrender and to go deep within, to trust in your intuition and your guidance. And so this is a major moment of letting go, surrendering, releasing, so that you can better understand the position of where you are and the responsibilities and duties that need to be addressed and taken care of. But there is something big, once again, where many of you do not want to let go of this story, of this fairy tale, this romance, this imaginative energy that you are being swept away by. There is something big here about needing to release and let go, and to really look at the reality of your situation that you are in. So that you can take on practical matters in a new way, so that you can start this new journey that is very practical, that is very much serving you in a very stable and grounded way. There's something big here for those of you with Libra Sun, Moon, or Rising about coming back into being grounded and stable in reality. We have the Hermit in reverse, where this does require a journey within. This does require you to go ahead and look deep within. Right, we talked about that Moon in Virgo. Big opportunity to look within, to take the time for introspection, to really look through things on a deeper level. As there is something major here that is missing. There is, again, take this as it resonates with you. There is this feeling of not addressing or not really seeing the reality for what it is. And not really having the answers or the clarity at this moment. Again, remember we talked about how that clarity will come through in the charts. But there is something big here about looking and seeking for that clarity, those answers that you want for yourself that are not coming to the surface, not being addressed. And so there is something big here about really taking your time to really think things through and really understand things at a deeper level. And so there is this call for you to really take that time for deeper introspection, to really look within in order to make those changes that are necessary. We have the Fool card here, where really it is a time for you to just go for it, to just be willing to let go and move forward, to really face the reality, to face the difficulties, to face the challenges, to go ahead and push through and open yourself up to the experience, as this will help you move forward. And again, we do have Virgo and Capricorn here, where once again there is something practical, something realistic here that is missing, right? There's something major here that needs to be addressed. We need to start coming back to reality and start understanding what is going on here. Saturn is here where you can feel restricted, limited in terms of how you can handle, how you can address your situation. But once again, the flip side of this is needing to take that authority, needing to take that stance in your career, in your work life, in your situation that you are going through here at this moment. And remember that Saturn is exalted in Libra, and so Saturn is very much favoring Libra. And so this is a great time to connect to this Saturn energy here. But even with this, having Mercury, Neptune, and Cancer, there is this feeling of disconnection. There's this feeling of not being all there, not being fully grounded and connected into reality, into your experiences. And so there's a major call for you to come back into your body, into your feelings, to stay grounded and connected in your reality. Lastly, here we have the Sun card, where you do need to claim that authority. You need to express yourself. You need to hold that authority and dignity. Remember, we talked about the Sun sitting in your 7th house of relationships, where there could be a tendency to give away your power and authority. And so there is a need here for you to express yourself big time in your public life, in the situation that you are in, to take a stance and to really express yourself. We have Scorpio, I transform, in reverse. And so with this Scorpio energy in reverse, there is a need for a deeper transformation. There is a need to go in deep and look at these issues and these situations here that need to be addressed, that need to be conquered, that need to be overcome. And so are we doing the inner work here? The inner work for Taurus, I have the inner work for your values, for what is truly worth it to you, for what truly serves you. Remember, we talked about that North Node sitting in your career house, in your status, your reputation, your position in life. And so it's a major time of really stepping into your values, stepping into your worth. We do have Neptune, sacrifice, and Sagittarius IC here in reverse, where there's this deep need for understanding. There's this deep need to let go and see the truth for what it is, big time in your life. And so are you going in and deeply connecting with yourself, deeply understanding your situation, and taking care of this situation, right? South Node, life debts, that this is a lesson, that this is something to overcome. And so are you really facing this lesson? Are you really willing to overcome and to go in deep and do the work that is necessary here to resolve this conflict? The last card we have here is the Queen of Diamonds. And so once again, are you nurturing your values? Are you nurturing your self-worth? Are you being practical and realistic? Taking these matters into your own hands and finding the solution, finding the way to sort through this. So a lot of work to do here for those of you, especially with Libra rising. For some of you with Libra Sun or Moon, you may also feel this as well. So, once again, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. Feel free to join the group Astro Metaphysical Love and Light to share your motivational advice, your spiritual knowledge, psychic messages, or just a positive message to lift up someone's day. So feel free to join the group for positive inspiration and connecting in a space of love and positivity. Also, feel free to join the group if you'd like to learn more about astrology. Astrology lessons with Daquan Jones, to learn astrology with me. I want to thank you all once again. And I hope you all have a great day. I will see you in the next video.